Seeing as it is 5 o'clock, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, so if everyone would please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. We have the flag just behind us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Of course, next item is the approval of the agenda itself, and I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the approval of the agenda, for the approval of the agenda.
Motion
Second.
Been made. Second has been made. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda, of course, is public comment. Speakers will be given 5-minute maximum time limit to speak before the Board of Elections about various topics, issues, and concerns. Speakers must direct comments to the board, and responses, of course, are reserved at the direction of the board. So if we have any public comment, not seeing any, no comments, no comments, okay. Moves us to the next item on the agenda, of course, old business. We don't have any items under that, so move on speedily along to the approval of July 18th, 2025 special called meeting minutes. And I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes, approval of the minutes from the July 18th, 25 special call meeting.
Second.
Motion and second has been made. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Brings us to the next item, of course, the following meeting, the approval of the July 18th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from July the 18th, 2025.
Second.
Motion and second have been made. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, brings us to the items of new business. Don't believe we have anything on the agenda for new business today, so we can move quickly on to public hearing. Of course, just as a quick explainer for the public, the Secretary of State office and the state of Georgia is conducting its regular list maintenance as required by law. And so those voters who have not voted in 2 consecutive general elections that were then placed on inactive status, then scheduled for removal. That full, years-long cycle is now at the point where removal is the next step that would occur as per state law and federal law. So at this point, there's really not much in a way of authority that we have in this cancellation. This is largely at the state level. Isn't that correct, Director Garrett?
That is correct.
Okay. So with that, of course, we have an item here for the public hearing, a staff challenge to remove registered Fayette County voters from the electors list who are registered in the state of Georgia Secretary of State voter registration system as deceased, mentally incompetent, canceled, or felon. And of course, this item would be as needed if we had any. And Director Garrett, I believe we have a large list right now of some 5,000 people.
That is correct. I would actually like to still give a report at our meetings, just so that the public will know, as well as you all. I know you have the information in your email, what our voter rolls are doing and how they are progressing. So as far as removal, since our last board meeting, we did remove 84 deceased. 87 deceased, 13 duplicates, 3 felons, 3 mentally incompetent, and we have 5,214 NGEs, and those are those people that have not voted for 2 general elections. And they also received that letter for that 40-day clock. So that typically takes place in accordance with the NVRA on our odd number of years, not our major election years.
Can I ask the question? Sure. Yeah. Of the 5,333 total that we canceled or removed, the deceased and the mentally incompetent and the felons, those were all just the normal monthly ones, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And on the cancellations, I had a couple of calls about that when people received their
I'm
postcards
sure.
and they didn't understand. Do you know how many, the state mailed those out, is that correct? They mailed I think they were postcards?
The notifications?
Huh?
Yes. The notifications, yes.
Yeah, the state mailed them, and then people had, 40 days or something like that, they had to respond.
Correct.
Otherwise, they were going to be removed.
Correct.
Do you know how many mailers for Fayette County were sent out?
Do I have access and have that in my records? Yes. Do I know it right now? No, ma'am.
Okay, well,
But I can follow up with you on that.
would you please?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Got one more question for you, Director Garrett, and it might be something that we could talk about later. But were there any individuals, voters, who did reach out to either to our office or the state, if you know it off the top of your head, in order to get themselves to stay on the rolls?
Ultimately, yes, the phone calls have been happening.
Perfect.
I just don't know how many made it within the 40-day clock. So once I get the original number, I'll be able to tell you how many did reach back out to the office to make themselves active.
Fantastic.
But just so we're clear, just because they were canceled, they can always come back and re-register at this point. So
Sure.
it's not that they can't vote or register to vote. They have until October 16th-ish.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. Do we need any action from the board on this item right here?
No.
Thank you. That brings us to our next item on the agenda, the public hearing for the proposed polling place change, precinct number 9. That, of course, is the Rare Over precinct. Just a little bit of background on this situation. We, for quite a while now, have had safety issues at this polling place that has really resulted in hazardous conditions for our staff, our poll workers, as well as for the voting public at large. And so while our priority, of course, is to conduct elections, our number one priority is the safety of the voters themselves, and ensuring that no harm comes to them is what's got to come first as our first priority. And so in fixing that, we have first temporarily, earlier in some previous elections, somewhat recently, but now at least in a more tentative way, we're going to try and shift the precinct itself from the Tyrone Rec Center, which sounds like a joke, but the roof caved in.
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like a joke, but the roof caved in. So to say the least, there's a dangerous situation right there for staff and the public. So to move it over and keep it all safe and still ensure ease of access to the public, we are going to try and shift to the Town of Tyrone Library itself. This has been in the works for quite a bit now. I know that Director Garrett and staff have been working along with the City of Tyrone staff and manager, Town of Tyrone. And, you know, this solution is really the best one in order for us to have a precinct location, a voting location that's very, very close geographically to the prior precinct, but also make sure that it's not 110 degrees inside and that, you know, the rain won't hit you when you're indoors. So at that point, I would ask Director Garrett if she needs anything else from us besides us to begin our public hearing.
So just to provide status or general information, there are 3,158 registered voters at this precinct in particular, and the change results in a 0.10 mile difference. After this, you don't need any action from me, but we do have to open up for public comment.
With that, I guess we could go ahead and open up this public hearing on the precinct change, moving number 9, Rare Over, from the Tyrone Rec Center to the Town of Tyrone Library. Is there any public comment to that effect?
And I do just want to reiterate or state for the record that this is only for Election Day. We'll talk about the other a little later down the agenda.
No comments? Okay. Sure. Please state your name and your Fayette County residency.
Yes, my name is Jane Harmon, and I live in Fayette County, here in the woods. I don't know where, but I do live here. But I would like to say thank you for taking into account that the people need to be safe while they're voting, including the people that work there. So this has been a long time coming. So I thank the board and the staff for looking into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harmon. Any other comments? Seeing none, I guess we can go ahead and proceed with action on this. With no further comments, I guess I could ask for a motion at this point.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the polling location proposal, Rare Rover moving it from the old voting location to the new, which is Tyrone Library.
Was there a second for that motion?
Motion and second has been made. Any further discussion on this? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. That brings us on to the next item, of course, the director's report. So I'll hand off the floor to our fantastic Director of Elections, Brianna Garrett. Director Garrett.
As of August 25th, 2025, there are 98,401 registered voters in Fayette County. And as you see that reflection, that decrease is reflected there. We did conduct qualifying last week. That went very well on our end, and as you all received the list of qualified candidates, it is also on our email. We tried our best to update it as quickly as we could on our website. I'm sorry, not on our email, on our website, the list of candidates. So that went very well. To discuss or to just provide more information on the Tyrone facilities usage thingy, while we are moving it to the library for November, Supervisor Johnson and I did have a chance to visit the former Tyrone Museum, also the former Town Hall building. I know I reported before that we visit to talk about plans. I was a little, I don't know, I wasn't as much of a believer when I reported it the first time. However, going to see it this week, they are definitely moving. They have gutted and started, I don't know construction terms, but there has definitely been some progress. So I feel very good about the spring and being able to make that a permanent voting location for the town of Tyrone. Also, I really appreciate the fact that they're taking into consideration our precinct and our needs as a voting facility. So kudos to Mr. Perkins and the city in the town for making sure that they accommodate us, and they really do want to make sure that voting stays there. We even asked about a refrigerator to make sure they have one of those. Also, the county is going to have a Citizens Academy. Our date is October 14th. We are the very last ones on the list, which I absolutely love myself. So just so you know, elections and voter registration does have a place in the 6-week program for the Fayette County Citizen Academy program. And that's just where they have the different departments present and hopefully interact. The goal is to make sure that they are able to interact with the different departments so that they're more informed about the county and what it does and how it works. So we are aligned for that on October 14th. Lastly, not lastly, public defenders, expansion of our building is finally happening. So on tomorrow, August 27th, the public defenders will move out of their side of the building, which means they will begin to make the renovations for us on that side of the building. According to an email report that I was not supposed to see, that's off the record, they said it would take approximately 30 to 45 days for them to finish our side. However, we will be in election mode, so the transition may be a little slow, but of course we're eager to get over, so we'll try to handle as much as we can on our end. Just for the record though, the EMS system cannot be moved by us. We are not the custodians of that system, so we'll have to fill out a form with the state and get them involved to be able to move that actual machinery, because they have to make sure too that we have everything that is needed on the other end, security-wise, that the regulations are up to par. Outside of that, our intern has officially not left us. So Musa, who is in the audience, I did invite him to come. He spent the summer with us working on projects and really helping on the technical side with the LNA, serving as a technician, and he did an amazing job. He's a senior at, am I allowed to say that on the record? Is that PP? He's a senior at a local high school, and he is very brilliant, has a 4.2500 GPA, and he was amazing. But I did get permission for him to still serve outside of his academics with us, hopefully to help boost voter education. That's our goal. We don't really have a role for that. Our hands are full, especially as we begin to make more processes in the office. But hopefully we can extend voter education through him, or at least start the process of what that looks like for having just more presence in the community. So he's done a very good job, and he actually has a program already made for us to follow in his absence. So he'll be working with us as an extension. I believe that concludes my director's report. Are there any questions for me?
I can do it now, or I can, just some general questions, and I didn't get to you earlier, so you don't have to have an answer. I have had some questions from poll managers for the most part, and I don't know that many of them know about the expansion, into the rest of the building. But is there the possibility for us to do anything to rearrange? You know how they come in the one door and kind of go in a loop and it stacks up, right? And is there any way for us to rearrange that so that we have a better flow for the poll managers to get in and sign off and that sort of thing? Are there any plans to try to?
There are plans for space, but when and we are considering each election, we change it up to see what works, what doesn't work, and we try to implement a system that's better. But what I don't want to do is take away from measuring speed versus accuracy. So if they have to wait a little while to make sure that the paperwork is correct, then I would rather them wait. But I will say we did find some things, and we had some really good suggestions that we're sending to the office that we're going to consider as far as what it looks like when the paperwork is not accurate and how that impacts the people that are behind them who do have accurate paperwork. So we're working on it, and there are some plans too, facility-wise, hopefully that'll work out for us with being able to span out into the entire building.
Okay, thank
So
you.
ultimately, yes, but just I do ask for patience.
Sure,
Just-
sure. That's pretty much it.
With that, I can move us on to our next item on the agenda, of course. Thank you, Director Garrett, for your steadfast leadership. And I guess I'll get into that in my board members' report. Attorney's reports, anything from you, Patrick?
Yes, I do have one update. Back in 2022, there was a lawsuit filed against the county Board of Elections, along with every other county Board of Elections in the state, by Mr. Garland Favorito. He was challenging the Republican primary for Secretary of State. It wasn't really done the proper way, and pretty much all the counties responded in that way. However, it's been languishing a while because all the judges in the circuit recused themselves, and it took a while to get a judge appointed. And once that judge was finally appointed, it then took a while to get the judge to actually issue an order, which he did last week. So the petition has been dismissed. There's still an appeals process that may be carried out, but I'll let you know if anything further happens on that.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. With that, brings us to our next item on the agenda, board member reports. So, from you.
I just wanted to thank the county for their training that we had there in Savannah. It was very educational, and I gained a lot from it. I still got a lot to read. I made a lot of notes, but I really appreciate that effort, and it really, I gained a lot of knowledge about the election process and what we go through, and I appreciate the effort they put forward to send us down there.
Absolutely. Anything from you, Madam Vice Chair?
Yes, I agree. That was a lot. It was great to meet other people, to be able to discuss, questions, if they had questions, or if we had questions about how other counties, which I'm sure you're able to do if when you meet with the people. But all in all, it was, 700 and some odd people were there in attendance. That's a huge crowd. And they were some long days, but well worth spending the time. I will tell you that outside of that, but I was amazed at some of the questions that were rolling around, especially over breaks and over lunch. And so one thing I wanted to ask you, not that you would have an answer, but within your knowledge or within the elections offices, are there discussions going on about what do we do if the QR code law stays at July 1st, 2026? Are there discussions going on about how counties are even considering that or doing any plans or preparation for it?
There's not any discussions going on in our office. And the reason for that is because Fayette County, when it comes to getting us the support financially and legally that we need, we're pretty supported there. However, I'm sure that there are other election officials pushing back. This is something that's constant for us. When these new rules or new laws are passed, there's always the misconsideration of who's going to financially support the rule that was passed. So there's not any, I guess you could say, uproar that is taking place, because I think it's been brewing for so long. They're all kind of just waiting to see which way it swings. I can imagine that if it does pass, then there will be the question of who's going to financially cover this and where would that come from, as far as will the state cover it versus the county having to cover it.
And for me, it wasn't so much because you've assured me that you have a good working relationship as far as the budget is concerned, and we would follow the law. The main thing that I keep hearing is, although it seems like it's a long way away, it's 11 months away, but it's not just the money, it's the preparation or the consideration of what do we have to do. In other words, we can't wait, until June and say, oh gosh, we've got to do something. We've got to order ballots or we've got to do whatever. That was my real question is there any discussion going on about just what are possibilities? The reason I'm saying that also is because at the Blue Ribbon Committee in Rockmart, there were 2 directors that were there, and both of them, the chairman, Tim Fleming, asked both of them if their county was ready to hold an election if the QR code was not removed and that law went into effect. Were they ready to handle elections essentially without QR code ballots? And in both cases, they said, absolutely, yes, we're ready. So that's why I was asking you. It amazes me for them to say that, but I'm going to be calling both of those directors to say, what did you mean when you said that, yes, you could do it, you could handle it, even if it means, print thousands of ballots?
So I'm glad that you had an opportunity to go to Gabrielle, because one of the challenges that I'm sure you saw was that every county is so different in size, in resources, in finance. Literally, everyone functions differently. So if it was a smaller county, I would imagine so. I guess my question for them as an election official on the inside is, if they were to, if it was to pass, I think it would be a matter of the state having to figure out how to configure our equipment to be able to produce those ballots without a QR code. I'm not aware of those technicalities behind it, so I'm not sure how easy or how hard it is. But as far as everything else, I think that I can say we may be ready unless something else outside of the removal of the QR code changes, because I'm sure there will also be a restructure of the ballot, because as they talked about those little lines on the side, those also help the computer read where those markings are taking place on the ballot as well. So I think it's more of a systems, not necessarily us, unless they change the paper. But I don't know if the system is able to be amended or if we will all need a new system. But also, I would take into consideration, and I'm sure the other election officials that are making these decisions, I hope, are at least advocating that our contract for Dominion is coming up in 2030. So within the next probably year and a half, we'll start looking at newer voting equipment, which is why at the conference, you saw that we had other vendors present that can print ballots, because that contract is coming up, meaning that opportunity, them RFQs are going to start opening up for people to try to get their equipment in the other states are using. So just considering all of that in that process, are we ready processes on our end? Yes, just depending on what the state requires if it passes for the equipment.
It's already passed. It is law that come July the 1st, 2026, the QR codes must come off the ballots.
Yeah,
And
I
that's the
think
law.
Director Garrett means that, like, the law has been passed, but the funding itself has not been appropriated yet. You know, when you and I were up there at the state capitol, they passed the bill, but then, of course, the money itself was never put in the budget. So I think that's the real kicker that Director Garrett is getting to.
Okay,
But yeah.
so, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I'll be really brief, just to echo the sentiments from my fellow board members. The Gabriel conference was absolutely overwhelming. You know, long days in a very cold convention center, listening to definitely not the most engaging subject. It could be dry at oftentimes, but it's very important. And like my colleagues up here said, like the greatest boon that conference gave us was the opportunity to share best practices, to again learn the diversity of the different counties and the diversity of the state of Georgia as a whole, but then also find out those similarities and commonalities that we all can work together and collaborate on to promote successful outcomes and the most efficient elections and elections with integrity that we all can trust going forward. And hearing from a lot of folks at the Secretary of State's office, in the private sector, folks in the legal community, it really just, I think, explained the totality of elections that, you know, 365 days a year, you know, we really are doing stuff. And even coming up early next year in March, we will have the next Gabriel conference, and it'll be held in Athens, so even further training, further collaboration, and greater opportunities for success. So as far as Gabriel goes, thank you so much to Director Garrett and the staff who joined us. It was a fantastic opportunity for us to learn more about our roles, our legal responsibilities, and to really get into, you know, popping the hood and taking a look at the engine with everybody else's different cars too. So that was a great opportunity that was entirely made possible by staff. So thank you, Director Garrett. And also, just further, another recognition of staff, I do want to say thank you to Musa, our intern, who has done a fantastic job. I personally have had the good fortune to see some of the videos that he's made that have promoted voter education, civic education. And so I'm really, really thankful to not just the county, but to him specifically for choosing to spend his time with us, because I know when I was a senior in high school, it might not have been, you know, working in an elections office after, you know, school on Friday. And I'm sure I'm not the only one in that way, so thank you so much to Musa for his commitment and his care for his community. And absolutely to County Administrator Rapson for being so flexible with us and, you know, working with us to make sure that we can do our jobs well too. With that, I don't have anything else, so I would just, again, say thank you to the staff, and with that, I guess I could accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I don't believe we need a second on a motion to adjourn.
Don't need one, but I'll
No.
second.
Go ahead. Second anyway.
Second.
With that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. We are